on SportsNetUSA.net, the second game of a triple header here at Cypress College. And there's a ground ball right between the legs of Sarah Leba. And on for the first time in the first at-bat, first pitch swinging is Sienna Garcia.
Now batting number 22,
Reaches on an E5.
Corey, this is a Ventura team that only had one hit against Emily Rush in the first game. So we'll see if they're a team that's going to come out and sort of find a rhythm. As you know, El Camino gets ready. They're going to play Cypress next after this game.
And there's one popped straight up in the infield underneath is Skylar Sanchez. Usually gets to start at pitcher. She's at first base. We'll set those lineups between El Camino in the field and Ventura at the plate. Cypress took the first game 5-0 over Ventura in this triple header today on SportsNetUSA.net. So Sienna Garcia led off with an error on the third base person Sarah Leba. So we'll start with the field first. Skylar Sanchez at first, Malia Martin at second, Viviana Tamayo at shortstop, and Sarah Leba at third base for the Warriors. Alyssa Lujan, Lisa Peral, and Brianna Padilla in the outfield left to right. Catching is Josie Madera is behind the dish, and in the circle will be Noemi Sandoval for the Warriors. Sandoval 1-1 on the season. This is her 11th appearance, one complete game thus far. This one has popped up, and that's going to be out of play. 0-1. And Lauren Albrent with one out. Odds-on favorite to win the Player of the Year in the Western State Conference.
Albrent batting .465 for the season, .506 on base percentage, .873. We talked about Emily Rush with a slugging percentage. Masterful slugging percentage for her, but she was shut down in the first game against Cypress and Emily Rush.
Sandoval, a 3.10 earned run average. 15 strikeouts coming into today and 10 walks. Albrent fouls one straight back again. So it'll be 2 balls and 2 strikes. Just started in the second game. Corey Neyland, Mark Pavlovich, Ed Ford, John Felix, and Albert Robles. 2-2, 1 out. Late on the swing, but stays alive is Albrent. Like you said, Mark, 873 slugging, 506 on base, and 465 average. Not only will she be all conference, she's looking to be all region or all state. Ventura's 19-3-1, 7-0 in conference. 2-0-1 on a neutral field, right down the heart. Ground ball is foul.
Well, now they're 19-4-1 because they lost to Cypress.
So they came in 19-3, now 19-4, huh? And now they're 2-1-1 on the neutral field. She golfs one into right field, overplaying and misjudging it is going to be Brianna Padilla, and that goes all the way to the fence. Albrent on third, almost chases down Padilla. Padilla's score is standing up. And that is an RBI triple
now batting for Ventura,
for Albrent.
Wow, that was really two things happened there. Getting totally out of position and then trying to bring your glove back to make the play, and then also coming in too far on the ball. So those two combinations lead to that strange RBI.
This is popped in Lujan under, and she misplays it, and that's going to be an error. which scores the run.
And Mark, we've already seen El Camino play this year. They played against Cerritos in a game where they lost, and that started to become their problem, Mark, towards the end of the game. They were starting to get a little sloppy with their defense.
Yeah, it came unraveled is what they did. And you saw a bad jump in left field on the last play, and then to let the ball get away from you.
This will bring up Ayala. Isabella Ayala, the catcher. Left-handed batter out of Santa Paula High School. Mascot is a good name for a baseball team, the Cardinals.
But when you look at all three teams that were out here today, Ed, Ventura, you take Cypress and you took El Camino's got the least errors defensively for any of the three teams.
In the dirt, and there she goes. That's Ortega, winds up on third.
Well,
Pass ball.
Sorry, Corey. It's almost like they're trying to play catch-up here on the first inning.
Ayala stands, big bat on the left side. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, top of the first, 2-0 already for the Pirates. Lifted in the left center field. Lujan is under it. She makes the catch. And tagging easily from third is Ortega for the second run of the game.
Now batting number 4, Ashlyn Flincham.
And Corey, if you watch Lujan in left field, she looked like she was very unsure of settling underneath the ball. You don't know if the wind's playing havoc out there with the outfielders.
Another golf shot in the left center field. Calling underneath it is Elisa Peral, and she drops it. And as you mentioned, foreshadowing, Mark, the wind is playing with it. Ed, you just said that a couple moments ago.
Yeah, when she turned to catch the ball, she had to make sort of an extra rotation with her wrist, and then that's when it hit more along the heel of the glove instead of in the webbing, and then it drops out. So this is really uncharacteristic of El Camino.
Another pop fly again, and this time grabbing it is Viviana Tamayo to end the inning. So F6 if you're scoring at home for the third out, but not before 3 runs. And the official scorekeeper has it at 3 hits and no errors. At the end of half an inning, it's 3-0. Ventura. Yeah, I had 3 errors, Mark.
Oh, you had 3 errors? I have 2 errors.
I got an E5, E7, and E8.
And I have 2 and 2. So we're all over the board here on sports@usa.net.
So nonetheless, it is 1 error committed officially, 3 hits.
Okay. Well, part of the issue could be, and we're not in the outfield. The wind also could be, those balls that have been hit haven't been line drives or, humpbackers. They're really sky high, and you might have to look up into the sun. And if you're looking up into the sun, that can be an issue where you're going to miss the ball. But like I was saying, that's uncharacteristic for this El Camino team for the last 8 to 9 years. They've been a very solid ball club. So really, in this 3-way that we're having here today on this Saturday, where not a cloud in the sky, you're seeing a preview of 3 teams that all 3 of these teams should be in the playoffs. No doubt with Cypress, they'll be hosting. Ventura has to keep playing solidly and stay in the top 8, and they can be a host team in the regionals. And El Camino should be able to get in there. They're, at this point, they're going to have to win a bunch of games to crawl into the top 8 teams by the end of the year, but they'll be in the playoffs. They were last year, and they didn't really have the best season.
So Alyssa Lujan leading off for the Warriors, the left fielder. 1 ball, 1 strike. After Lujan, it'll be Malia Martin, who's at second base, and Destiny Ostorga, the designated player, will be batting third. On the inside, 1-2.
You know, Flincham, who averages almost 10 strikeouts per 7, couldn't do that against Cypress. Now we'll see if she can rebound here against El Camino.
That's in the dirt, 2-2, and that was Flincham's first loss of this season to Cypress. 12-1 this season, and 96 innings pitched. Third in the state in total number of strikeouts. He's popped up right behind Flincham and drops in there for a base hit. So an infield single for Alyssa Lujan.
Do you think, Mark or Corey, did somebody call her off? Because it would seem like she could have made that play, but it seems like she got called off because she went back and then she went to the left.
Yeah, we didn't hear it though. Fouled back is Martin.
And now, you know, Ventura is now 2-2 against teams from the OEC. They beat up on Santiago. They lost to Santa Ana. Now they've lost to Cypress.
1 ball, 1 strike. The speedy Lujan is at first base. She leads the team in stolen bases with 11. As a team, guys, they're 4th in the state in total stolen bases. Ground ball easily, and she's safe or out at first. Martin can't beat the throw on a strong throw from Alyssa Guzman at short.
And what happened, Guzman was looking for a traditional double play. All of a sudden realized that lead runner was just a little too fast for her and said, now I got to reset my arm. And Corey, she was lucky enough to get the runner at first. Close play at first base.
Astorga, who's batting .424 this season, grounds it to third and eats up Albrent. And that's a runner on first and third with 1 out.
E.
Now batting for the Warriors, number 15, Sky Sanchez.
Well, that might not be what the official scorekeeper has it down as.
Oh, no, the actual scorekeeper gave her an error on that, so. We just have to say it a little louder now.
Skylar Sanchez flares it out to the right side. Skylar ties with the team lead in runs, 368 average. That defense lineup for Ventura, Mia Guerrero at first, Jocelyn Ortega at second base. Third base is Lauren Albrent. Alyssa Guzman at short. Sienna Garcia. And left field,
Howe in center.
low is the pitch. That's Maggie Howe in center field. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Bottom of the first inning. And in, right field is going to be Albertson. Stealing Lujan, she's out at third.
No.
Oh, she's safe at third. She slid underneath the tag. I thought I saw him go like this. I thought I saw him.
Just call it a pass ball and you'll be okay.
I think you were channeling that, because his arms definitely went out like he was flying like an eagle on Steve Miller Band.
Like we say, never anticipate.
Unless you like the seal version better.
Nice double steal.
High pop-up, Howe ranging, and left is going to be Garcia. She makes a catch. Lujan tagging from third in easily. And she gets one of those runs back on a sac fly RBI from Skylar Sanchez.
Now batting for El Camino, 0-0, Lisa Peril.
So Lisa Peral steps up.
And Ed, now this goes back to you talking about the high fly balls. Again, that was a high fly ball, but there was no difficulty for the outfielder from Ventura settling underneath it and making the catch.
Yeah, and she used two hands also. Didn't try to just use the big glove and catch it with one hand.
Fouled straight back. Corral was an all-conference player last season. This season in the South Coast Conference, though, she's 279 hitting, 346 on base. Runner at second is Astorga. Or running for the Astorga, who got in on the error, is scoring from second on an RBI single. It's going to be Sarah Leba, who's playing third base. She's the flex. She came in and ran for the designated player, Destiny Astorga.
Now batting for the Warriors, number 3, Brianna Padilla.
Very nice piece of hitting there, just kind of going with the pitch, not hitting it too hard, enough to get it over the second baseman's head and drop it into right field. RBI.
Brianna Padilla fouls one to left field, and that's one of the things Coach Jessica Raposa said earlier is they need clutch hitting. That's why they're at 11-10 on the season and 3-7 in conference play, because they haven't gotten that timely hits. Squares off to the races is Peral. She gets it. And she is called out as the tag was in the face mask.
I hope we have a replay of that.
And on that replay, you saw she was out. Well, that's just a makeup call. That's a karma call right there, because I thought she had her out at third base, but they call her out at second. So nonetheless, 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error. This is Community College softball on SportsNetUSA.net. Let me repeat that.
Do you want me to write it down?
Community College softball.
Oh,
yes, I do. Community College softball on SportsNetUSA.net. Whew.
Wow, there goes your stickies. You see, that's the problem. Your cue
hey.
cards were blown away.
I heard a couple first game. As we sit at beautiful Cypress Field on the campus of Cypress College, and wanted to talk to you too about the playoffs as we get ready, start focusing on it now. I was looking at the records and all the standings. There are a lot of teams under 500.
Yes, there are. But as we were mentioning in the first game, the magic of RPI is going to propel them to into the playoffs. As I was, as we were pointing out, Mark and I were talking about, and talked about it before with you, Corey. I mean, Santiago under 500 in conference, under 500 overall. They've got another 11 spot in the RPI, so they would make the playoffs. They would be, if it was held right now, they would be taking on the number 6 team.
And you can imagine a game or a series like this or the round robin like this would help all teams in this triple header.
Right. Saddleback under 500 in the OEC, under 500 overall, but not by that much. I think they have a better overall record.
Yeah, they're 12-10 overall.
Yeah, they would get in. They're 15th in RPI. And up north you would have some that Bay Valley is that one's pretty gruesome so far. I mean, there's no other way to put it. A 3-16 team, an 0-7 team.
Sandoval in the circle, swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Maggie Howe, the center fielder.
We'd have to go back and look at those RPI for Northern California, but I think Diablo Valley is they're under 500, but they play in the Big 8, so they get a lot of points for playing the top teams like Sierra and Sac City and Summers River, but as Mark was alluding to at the beginning of the game, talking to the players, we don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense, the RPI situation. I think you need something like it, but it needs to be modified a whole lot.
2 balls, 2 strikes, top of the second inning, fouled away.
Well, I think when it comes to RPI, because the Ventura players were the ones that were telling me they don't like it. We were talking. They said you could get beat up by the #1 team in the state. Run rule, run rule, run rule. 3 games in a row. Guess what? You go up in RPI because you played them 3 straight games. And the Ventura players go, it makes no sense to get rewarded for not playing well.
2-2, no outs. Lined in the right center field for a base hit is Maggie Howe. She rounds first. Back into Martin.
Well, if you remember, in 2000, I think it might have been 2018, Golden West didn't win a game, yet they had a higher RPI than teams that had won games. I mean, they didn't win a game, one single game. I mean, come on. How can they be higher than a team that's like, granted, the other teams might have been 8 and 20 or something like that, but still, those teams won 8 games. They won 0 games. Your RPI should be 0 if you win 0 games. Just flat out, you didn't do anything. You lost every game.
Morgan Albertson at the plate now with no outs. Runner on first is Howe. Inside out foul ball.
And if you want to do it, guys, you could do it like the OEC did it with COVID. You say you take the winner of the conference, and that all these other groups should have a mini little tournament. And you take the winner of the conference, and whoever wins that mini tournament gets it. Or whoever comes, if the same team wins, whoever came in second, who played in the championship game, gets to go. And that's how you start doing it. The heck with RPI. You don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like the conference tournaments at all.
Yeah, I would just go with, one thing you just have to do, and we've discussed it in other softball games. After this pitch, of course.
Morganson swing, pops it up on the infield underneath is Sanchez and makes the catch.
But, simply put, the simple rule should be, anybody that wins their conference, even though you have a situation like the Bay Valley, which has been depleted because Napa Valley hasn't been able to put a team up for, 3 or 4 years. And, there's some issues there with, having enough players for some of the community colleges.
Popped up is Garcia on the infield, one-handing it. Is Sarah Leba.
But just simply, hey, if you don't play 500, you don't go to the playoffs. All the conference winners go. You have these other teams. I don't care if they're in the Big 8 and, they play some of the best teams, or in the OEC and they play some of the best teams. Hey, can't finish 500, you don't go, period. You don't get considered. I think that would go a long way of helping.
Golf, Leba diving, throws it over to first, and Sanchez. Excellent play by Sarah Leba.
Yeah, great play by her. Diving down, getting down into the dirt. Just like Mark says, got to get that uniform dirty or you haven't played, and she's got her uniform dirty.
No runs, 1 hit, 1 left on, and at the end of 1.5, it's still Ventura 3-2 over El Camino.
So here's my reply to you two. No matter how you do it, though, somebody's going to get wazooed when it comes to tournament play. I mean, I got to ask you guys. I mean, has there ever been a year where you said, yeah, everybody that should have gone went, and nobody stayed home that should have gone? Can you remember a year where you said that to yourself?
No, but I think part of the problem has been there was the one year with Feather River where they didn't get to go and they won the conference. Or at least it was a 3-way tie, but they seemed to have the tiebreakers against the other 2 teams, but they didn't get picked. So, no, that's not fair. But then the next year, of course, Feather River got in. It's kind of like Imperial Valley had a really great year, 2016, I think it was, and they didn't get put into the playoffs, but the next season they, not going to say magically appeared. The problem is that, with the RPI situation, I don't want to use the term lesser teams, but the
Now batting
teams
for
that don't
Elkamina, number 3,
traditionally,
Brianna
you know,
Padilla.
you're not Cypress, you're not Mount Sac, you're not San Diego Canyon, uh, you're not Palomar.
The blue blood, so to speak.
Yeah, so the teams that always go to the super regionals and most of the time are getting into the state. The teams that are, you know, your Rio Hondos and Imperial and whoever, they don't always get a chance to move up in RPI because Mount Sac is not going to schedule you. It's just not going to happen. So it's not fair to penalize those teams because the blue bloods don't want to schedule you. It would be different if you had a system where there was a scheduling situation where you had to play certain teams.
Yeah, and that was like Rio Hondo, who had that team a few years ago. It might have been 2018, maybe it was 16.
Well,
That's-
even last year, Corey, with Rio Hondo,
Yeah.
they should have gotten in, but you know we had the situation with Imperial Valley getting in, which, as we talked about before, nobody liked. But if Imperial Valley wouldn't have been led into the playoffs, Rio Hondo would have
Now
most
batting
likely
number
gotten
22,
that
Viviana
spot.
Tadeo.
And you know, I'm going to call that a bunt double.
I did.
Thank you. All right. A bunt double by Brianna Padilla, who's at second base. You rarely see those. You see them sometimes on a perfectly placed bunt by Padilla, and it got to the edge of the infield, and both short and third were up so far, left field couldn't come in quick enough, and the speed of Padilla is sitting at second with no outs. The lead off, and this will bring up Viviana Tamayo.
You know, the reason you give her the double, too, Corey, she never stopped at first. She turned and continued. If she stops at first, then goes, it's a single and she advances. But she had made up her mind after it was missed at third base, I could get to second before anybody makes a play on me.
She's got 8 stolen bases this season. She is a threat. Albrent up at third. Bounce to the right side. And that is an up and over to Guerrero from Ortega. So it moves the runner over. Padilla standing at third base, and this will bring up Josie Madera.
Now batting number 29, Josie Madero.
Madera has 1 RBI this season as he takes the first pitch for a strike. She's catching. .333 hitting.
Don't these uniforms look beautiful with the short pants and the socks?
1 ball, 1 strike. And here's
Not
the
like
thing.
the slacks that the boys wear when they play.
And here's the thing. I'm waiting for those to make it to softball because then I'll say, yes, they look good too. These are nice. I still don't like the stirrups, but the socks and the high pants, it looks good. And the swing and a miss, 1 and 2. But again, I'm waiting for them to bring them down a little bit, get a little bit baggy.
I like the colors on the Warriors uniform too.
Oh, yeah. That light blue and the gray. Thought about it. Good pitch.
And nobody
Right.
can ever complain about orange and black, be it baseball or softball. Team that's won more major league victories.
I was going to say, you like Oregon State that much?
Oregon State.
2-2 pitch on the way, goes down and fouls it out. 2-2, 1 out. Bottom of the second. Outside, 3 and 2, just missed. Flincham wanted it. She didn't get it, just a bit outside as Padilla standing at third base waiting for Madera to bring her home.
And she didn't think she was getting the calls in the first game either, Corey.
She gets that one, enticing her to swing and miss for the second out.
And that's a big out for
Now batting
Fincham
number 23,
because
Noemi Sandoval.
you certainly want to shut down El Camino here, not let them tie the game up and get some momentum going, more momentum going.
Sandoval takes it on the inside at the knees. And outside, moving the eyes, moving the quadrants, 0-2, with 2 out in the bottom of the second inning.
Well, 2 quick strikes. Where do you throw this pitch?
I jam her. I go right on her hands.
She does. She fists it, and underneath is Ortega. Jocelyn Ortega makes a running grab for the 3rd out. So after that leadoff double by the bunt, leaves the runner stranded at 3rd with no runs and 1 hit, no errors and 1 left on at the end of 2 full. It is 3-2 El Ventura on Community College Softball on SportsNetUSA.net.
You know what? I think what we ought to do for the RPI thing is I'm going to go to use an Ed Ford attitude on this. And I think if you were to say to teams, if you travel up to Northern California, I'll give you the RPI rating +1 so that we get teams that go out and play a variety of different teams. I mean, you could, if you stay in Southern California, you know who you can win. Even the big teams, you know who you can beat. But if I make you get everybody in California to play against you, I might look at it and say, okay. And then I could actually look and say, okay, teams that go to Northern California that have in Southern California that have a good Northern California record, I'm going to let them qualify for the playoffs. Yeah, they're 10-8, but in Northern California they were 5-0. And I'll put that in the way I rank teams too to make the playoffs. But I'd like to make it so then it becomes more of a state of California game instead of Southern California, Northern California.
And as much as we like that idea, that'll never happen. NorCal would never go for that.
Well, it gets it. What'd you say? Everybody gets into play in Northern California.
Yeah, and that's why you play.
Well, no, everybody doesn't get most of the Big 8 gets in because they have, they're like the OEC. They will get 5 and 6 teams in there. I think we do need to do things to foster more play between Northern California and Southern California sections prior to the playoffs. I mean,
SportsNetUSA.net Invitational for one.
I think that would be one. There's some other things that perhaps could be done.
Noemi Sandoval entices for a pop out. Sanchez underneath, and Albrant first pitch swinging. What was that thing they used to say when you were in Little League and Bobby Sox, and first pitch swinging always pops up?
Yep.
Jocelyn Ortega, who singled and scored a run her first at bat, or in the first inning, made that excellent catch to end the second. First pitch swinging, pop up to Martin at second. Martin two-hands it for the second out. And this will bring up Ayala.
Now batting number 23, Isabella Ayala.
Isabella out of Santa Paula. 23 hits this season. Well, coming into this series. She's first pitch swinging. That has popped up and out of the reach of Lujan. 0-1.
And that's when you're an outfielder. Of course, see, this is the craziness of some of us that were outfielders. You're in foul territory. It's not going to be close. You lay out. Because nobody's going to be on base if you miss it. You lay out. And if you luck out and catch it, you're brilliant. And if you miss it out there, everybody goes, what'd you do that for? It's, hey, why not?
This one's roped into center field over. It reaches the fence at 220. Ayala's at second. She rounds. She's going to be at third. Is she going to get home? She stops for a stand-up triple. And looks like injured is Lisa Peral as she ran into the fence. And she's still down as she's being helped up by her teammate Alyssa Lujan on a stand-up triple by Isabella Ayala. For Ayala, that is her second triple this season. 3-2 the score. Ventura has the lead with 2 outs in the top of the third inning as the trainers are going to go take a look at Miss Peral. There's 2 outs. And that first game between Ventura and Cypress, Cypress really jumped on Ventura to really take control of that ball game.
They, you know, in the games we've done here on Sportsnet, USA.net, and that just seems what Brad Pickler's teams, at least when we watch them, have done this season. First inning, second inning, they're in control of the game.
Yeah. Another thing I've noticed about Cypress, if you go through the games they've played so far and compare them to other teams, Cypress has that, you know, Brad puts that killer instinct into the team where they have a doubleheader. They take both games of the doubleheader. They don't rarely split. I think maybe one of the doubleheaders this year they split, but you see other teams, they split the doubleheader. Splitting the doubleheader, especially if it's a conference game because it's a makeup or something, does you no good. You haven't gained any ground. But when you can go in there and take 2 from an opponent in your conference, you're pushing them down by 2 games. And he's been able to do that.
Yeah, and they run rule a lot of teams too. So I agree with Ed. They do have that, hey, conquer and devour their opponents.
Ashlyn Flincham, first pitch swinging again, but she pops it out to Brianna Padilla in right. And that'll end the inning on 3 flyouts. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on. And at the end of 3 complete, Ventura 3, El Camino 2.
I was just going to say we're going to try to get some scores for everybody. If we get some cooperation. Or if we don't.
So we move to the top of the 4th inning, and El Camino is going to bring up the top of the order with Lujan, Martin, and Astorga. Mark, I've set up my table wrong, and it's all confusing.
Nice print jobs.
We do what we can as Flincham's still in there. Solid pitcher in the circle. I was watching a game last night, and they were talking about one of the pitchers who stood 6'2" in the circle, very commanding presence. Flincham in there has a solid presence in the circle.
Okay, ducking in some scores for you quickly. It was Santa Barbara edging Cabrillo by a score of 5-4. Somebody needs to stop playing with the screen over here. No score with Fresno City and Monterey. Oh, at the games at Monterey, the Rabbit has not hopped all the way down here yet. Desert over Glendale by a score of 5-2. We had Riverside lost to Pasadena. Pasadena comes back and beats them by a score of 7-4. That's why Pasadena's one of the reasons they're one of the better teams this year. Of course, it doesn't help that Riverside had 5 errors. That probably had something to do with it. Top of the 7th, Santiago leading Bakersfield by a score of 3-1. There'll be another game in that series. Get to the other scores after this pitch.
Caught by Hal in center.
Delta beats Modesto by a score of 12-3. Butte over Shasta 7-2. No, that game's postponed. Probably rain and snow in Lassen. Cosumnes River over Santa Rosa 11-3. We have no score with Folsom Lake and Sac City. Cuesta edges Rio Hondo in 9 innings by a score of 6-5. A game that Cuesta really needed to happen in their favor.
So with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd inning, El Camino, Martin takes the strike. 0-2.
And no score with the Fullerton College game, interestingly enough. It started at 1.
Flincham delivers an off-speed pitch. Thought that was strike 3. Everybody was walking for the next batter. It is 1-2 with 1 out.
You know, if you're a pitcher in the circle, you have those days that everything that's close you don't get.
And going back is Guzman, and she cannot make the catch. Mark's going to call that an E6. I'm going to call that a hit, but we'll see what they
Wow.
score. They call it a hit.
Wow. You go back, you get your glove up, you turn your glove the wrong way, you're in the right position to make the play, you don't make the play, that's an error. Don't, you know, I'm not going to give it to you because you don't play the play properly.
Sun didn't have a factor, not a
Not at
contributing
all.
factor to
Not
that,
at
miss.
all. Not at all.
Okay.
She was there. She was there. She had her glove up. She turned her hand the wrong way.
24, Destiny or Storgo.
You have to make that play at third or short or second or first.
For our new viewers, this goes on all the time. If you're a longtime viewer, you're laughing right now.
Low inside to Astorga. Reached on an error in the first and scored one of the 2 runs.
I thought you were saying ode to an error.
1 ball, no strikes. Runner at first is Martin. Martin reached base on that single. One out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. 207 down left field line, 220 straight away, and 209 down the right field line high. Good rise ball from Flincham.
And this is a question I was going to ask you guys before you even said the dimensions. Why does the ball sell so well in Nancy Kelly Field, and yet here we don't see that plethora of home runs?
Rise ball again, has to double clutch in at second as easily as Martin is. Yes, he slides for another stolen base.
I believe that Nancy Kelly Field is smaller than this. It's 200 down. It's symmetrical 200, 200, 200. So here center field is 220, and Nancy Kelly center field is 200.
Popped up. Ortega underneath. Ortega makes the catch.
But there's also a win factor there too. That you have a breeze here, but
It seems like the breeze here flows crossways, whereas Nancy Kelly, it flows from back of home plate, and it really does flow out to the outfield.
yeah, at Nancy Kelly, as Mark has alluded to, there's like sort of like a jet stream. It doesn't go down the lines though. It's kind of a left center to right center kind of area where if you can get it in that V, it's just gonna go.
Ground ball, Guzman scoops it up over to Guerrero for the 3rd out. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on. Now we're at the end of 3 with the score 3-2 Ventura.
But we've seen the ball hit. Here's the other thing, though. I mean, Ed, we were at the game where the girl crushes the one to left field. It hits the brick wall. I mean, the building behind left field must be, what is that? We're back there all the time. Another 20 feet to that building easily?
At least it's probably, yeah, it's at least 20. It might be 30 even.
I mean, we've seen some balls just literally crushed in that field.
And you can honestly say that ball that was hit would have gone 250 easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it was rising when it hit the building.
So as we start the top of the 4th, Martin still at second. At first base is Sanchez. On the left side of the diamond will be Leyba at 3rd and Tamayo at short. In the outfield still, Lujan. Peral stays in. And center field, Lujan in left and Padilla in right field. Behind the dish will be Josie Madera. Still in the circle is Noemi Sandoval.
And you look at the 3 coaches that we have out here today, the 3 head coaches. They've all, well, Brad, look, his 9 championships, but You look
Now
at
batting for
Ventura and
number
you look at
37,
El
Mia Guerrero.
Camino with Jessica Raposa. They've both done outstanding jobs keeping their teams in the playoffs. I think, I don't know how many years in a row Ventura has gone to the playoffs, but it's at least since 2016 that they've been in. And I would assume El Camino has also been in the playoffs that many times in a row and taken a couple visits to the state championship tournament.
Yeah, El Camino's been in every year. Raposa's been the head coach. Last 8 years, Ventura's made the playoffs. Guerrero lifts one in the left field. Lujan underneath and makes the first out.
Now batting for the Pirates, number 7, Maggie.
So
Howe.
Maggie Howe now singled in the second inning. And what we like is the more youthful coaches in softball, more diverse coming in. And we always like the old guys, the old ladies who are coaches as well, because there's something different about the philosophies about the old and young.
Yes, there is. And I'm glad you said some of that stuff, not me.
Oh, wait a minute. Brad just shoved Gabby out of the box over there. He heard that on the air. So
Ground ball to Martin, over to Sanchez for the second
Now
out.
batting for Ventura, number 12, Morgan
So
Albertson.
now the ninth hitter is Morgan Albertson. She popped to first her first time at bat.
I think Brad's statement was go sit with those younger people in the sun.
Albertson's listed as a pitcher, but again, with only 11 players, everybody does everything. She's out of Nordhoff High School. How do you say it? Is it Nordhoff or Nordhoff?
I said it as Nordiff.
Nordhoff, okay.
Yeah.
Nordhoff High School, the Rangers. From Ojai, she takes the first pitch for a ball.
Okay, but I wanted to follow up on what you were saying because you talked about the new and the old attitude. I mean, when you look at Brad Pickler's attitude about softball, what would you say that he preaches here at Cypress College?
Adaptability and adjustments. I mean, he's one of those guys who just flows with the time. He's like the river, just rolling, 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 rolling. It's very fluid, and that's why you see him always, one of the favorites to win a title.
Let's take Cody at Cerritos College.
Just that rock in that you just see and it's not going to move, meaning that they're always going to be a solid team, a solid force, and play fundamentally sound ball. Popped up, Sanchez makes the one-handed grab, and that'll end top four. 3 up, 3 down. Coming up for Ventura will be Peral, Padilla, and Tamayo. This is Community College Softball on SportsNetUSA.net.
I'm a little concerned that out behind the outfield fence there's a guy walking his dog, and they seem to have stopped near our giant tripod.
Yeah, more than once.
Uh-huh. Well, I can run
At
over
least
there.
they picked up.
I can run over there really quick.
Well, I don't think I
No
don't think
dogs
she.
allowed here.
Yeah, I don't think she got anything. Well, let's stick with that. Speedy and Crystal over at Fullerton.
Speedy and Crystal, they're like the Road Warriors. If you're back in 80s wrestling, they're those teams that they're fire and ice over there. A lot more fire than ice, but they're fire and ice because they go, and then they just get chill in certain aspects.
So let's take these two coaching staffs since they're in front of us.
You just channeled Pat Benatar.
I tell you, when you look at Ventura.
New school, up and coming, the new wave. I think even though they've been there, I mean,
I was going to say Tish has been there for a while.
yeah, she's been there 8 years as an assistant. This is her first year as a full-time head coach, but it's still relatively new.
Okay.
You don't really establish yourselves unless, you catch fire real quick, but This is the new wave. These are former players who are All-Americans who are leading their teams now in really a new style of softball.
And let's finish up with El Camino.
Oh, same thing.
Same thing? Okay.
She's all gas, no brakes. If we had a coach mention that to us before, that's what she is. This is crushed in the left field, has a chance at the wall. 207. Peral rounding second. She stays at second with a stand-up double. Lisa Peral is 2 for 2 in this matchup.
Well, I think you had a situation there where
Now batting for the
playing a
Warriors,
little
number 3,
too
Brown
shallow
Kia.
in left field.
Yeah, even though Peral has been struggling at the plate this season, only 271. She does have 1 home run, but she's a player who was all conference last year. Padilla had a bunt double her last time at bat. Squares this time. Albritton and Guerrero were there.
Especially today with so many players in this game having problems going back on these high fly balls. You would think you want to play
Lays
a
it down
little
one more time. Albritton over to first, covering is Ortega. But again, the sacrifice moves the runner.
Now batting number 22, Viviana Tomeo.
So 5-4 if you're scoring at home. Tamayo grounded out to second her first time at bat. Ground ball, backhand. Guzman throws home and gets Peral in the rundown. Chasing her down is Sandoval, makes the tag. Or excuse me, that's Ayala who makes the tag for Ventura.
And, of course, the one thing you'll see from the coaching staff right now at El Camino, that if the rundown's happening at third, the runner at first has to take off and get to second base. You can't sit there and watch the rundown. You need to break so the edge you're in scoring position if you get a base hit.
So runner at first base on a fielder's choices to Miles, 6-2 if you're scoring at home. And that'll bring up Josie Madera. So good job by Ayala for chasing her down and making that tag. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th inning just really takes away that scoring threat.
Well, I think a better play by Guzman because I really thought she was going to take the runner at first.
I think so did everybody. I think everybody's eyes gravitated towards first base and just gave up the run because that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Especially the depth she was at shortstop.
And she looked from short, Corey, and realized I could get the runner.
Right. And made a very, very good throw.
Yeah.
High pitch, runner goes, and nice throw by Ayala on a sweeping tag by Guzman, and that's going to end the inning. The shortstop-catcher connection, once again, makes it happen. And as you see there again, she was called out, so no runs, 1 hit, no errors. So at the end of 4, score remains 3-2 in favor of Ventura Community College softball on sportsnetusa.net.
Did we get signal from down there that she was out?
I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, okay, all right. Because Corey, I think, just made that up so that he was right. I didn't think anybody gave us the signal she was out.
Oh, yeah, I'm right.
I can't stand that call. When somebody comes running by and sweeps and the umpire's in the wrong position and calls him out because he thinks it happened.
But it looks pretty, Mark.
It does, yes.
In top of the order is going to be Garcia, Guzman, and Albritton for the Pirates. Pirates on the season average 6 runs, 330 average, 13 home runs. They have a fielding percentage of .960. They're 10th in the state. El Camino has a fielding percentage of .960 coming in here. They're 11th in the state.
It's higher than Cypress.
Yeah, Cypress is 18th in the state. One of the things Coach Raposa told us about her team, why are you 11-10? That timely hitting is one of the reasons, but they just don't score enough runs. She believes at 5, almost 6 runs a game, they can do better. They can get 2 or 3 more runs at least with clutch hitting.
Well, and what they told me too, Corey, when I was talking to them, yeah, they don't make a lot of errors, but they make errors at the wrong time.
Noemi Sandoval in the circle. One complete game this season with a 1-1 record. This is her third start of the season. Came in with 29 and a third innings pitched. Fastball fouled off to the left side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Top of the 5th inning. Visiting team Ventura at the plate.
They lost their first game 5-0 against Cypress. They could find no offense in that first game. Of course, give Emily Rush a lot of love for that reason.
Their last game, they beat Santa Ana. 2 balls and 1 strike. 6-1, 11 hits. They only gave up 3 hits, and the big thing is, and they committed 2 errors, but still won the game. Garcia in that matchup had 2 RBI, went 1 for 3. She scored 3 times in that game. This one's flared in a diving attempt by Sanchez. She can't make the catch.
And here's the thing, Corey. If she doesn't make a play on it, Martin is there at second base to make the play for El Camino. She's ready to catch the ball, and the hand goes up with the glove and knocks it down. And it's one of those things that if you're a defensive player, you can't all of a sudden hope the person behind you can make the play.
And
It's the unfortunate thing that you are tall enough to get the glove up.
Yeah, she went back and made an excellent attempt, and they gave her the 6th hit. And that's a solid hit, number 7 by Guzman. Runners at first and second, no outs, and this is the way they wanted to start the 5th inning. And that brings up their best player, their best hitter, Miss Albrant, a Buena Bulldog in high school. She leads the team in various categories, average on base and slugging, and hits with 33. Home runs is 7. Second on the team in RBI with 25. She takes the first pitch for a ball, 1-0. Remember, the last time these 3 batters came up, they were first pitch swinging, and they all popped out.
Yeah, I think the thing about Albrett that you have to do, too, while you're watching this broadcast, when you get a chance to watch her at third, watch where she positions herself at third base. You watch Leyba do the same thing for El Camino, and it's interesting to me, Corey, somebody that played third base. You watch them line up, they don't line up square, foot-wise. They line up with a foot back.
And I think that's what you're supposed to do as a softball player at third base. When you play third base in softball, there's something different. Even play baseball, you have to have that, I'm going to say, that leverage that you need to push off and make plays because you got a hot corner. There's a strike on the outside. Allows you to come forward and meet the ball instead of your first reaction when something's hit right at you is take a step back.
You know, I almost wondered, I'd love to ask the coach, do you do that because if the ball catches you in the chest, it's going to come back towards the catcher foul? So you keep it in the infield? I mean, watch when Leyba lines up. She's going to take her right foot. Watch, she won't do it this time for me. But she's going to look over there. She'll line up, and then she will take her right foot and sets her right foot back. She's at an angle.
I think you're protecting the line, and there is one looped, caught in the outfield by Padilla for the first out. I think it really protects the line better.
Is that why you think they're doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you make one move down, you can make that backhand down the line and then come up.
So it gives you an advantage to backhanding the ball, the way they're lining up.
When I played, yeah.
Okay.
For me, it did. So Jocelyn Ortega singled and scored a run in the first, popped the second in her second at bat. Low pitch. And what Sandoval is doing, she's not throwing many curves, no many changeup. Throws an occasional rise of fastball, but what she's doing is she's hitting her spots, their quadrants, and up, down, right to left. And she tries outside and she catches the corner.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I looked to my left and saw a couple of our softball players from Cypress. I thought maybe they missed the alarm clock. And, you and I were going to have to play this third game.
We wouldn't do that. Pack it up. Goes outside one more time, and that's out of play.
John can still play. Look at him. Look at those cat-like reactions. And you saw Ed make a move. Of course, Albert, he got sent to the showers.
3-2 is the score. Top of the fifth inning, Ventura has the lead. All runs coming in the first inning. On hits, not errors by Ventura. 2 balls, 2 strikes as that misses outside. Well, they were scored as hits, not errors.
Right.
You know, Camino, as a team, a 3.18 earned run average. Outside, and left it again. No follow through, and that's high and outside, 3-2.
And those were the last 2 pitches that she's thrown. You sort of wonder if she's getting tired in this circle. A little zip has left her pitches.
Ortega has some power. In the right center field, demonstrating that, and that's going to score 1 run. Maybe. And they call her safe at home. Garcia slides ahead of the tag applied by Madera. And do we have a replay on that one? We do. And we're waiting as you see the throw and the slide. And Ed Ford says, maybe, good call, 4-2. As the sweep by Madera didn't catch her, hit her on the arm, and Ayala takes first.
Yeah, Corey, I think it depends on, you know, when she came in, there was a big cloud of dust. So from our vantage point in the camera view, you really couldn't tell when the tag was made compared to, you know, when the foot was at the plate.
So 1 run in on 2 hits thus far. In the top of the fifth, and the Pirates extending their lead to 4-2. As Flincham takes the ball. One out, she grounds. Leyba took home, over to first, double play. So that's how you end the inning. Leyba had the first hit to her. The first pitch hit to her in the first inning and made an error. This time she comes up with another tremendous play. 5-2-3 if you're scoring at home. So 1 run, 2 hits. No errors and 2 left on base at the end of 4.5. It is 4-2 Ventura on SportsNetUSA.net.
And we can show you that replay one more time from the run score. Let's see if we have it. And you be the judge in the audience what happened. Oh, let's have the wrong replay. That's the right one.
Right call?
Well, here comes the throw. But see, there's just dirt. And, you know, I would probably call her out.
See, Mark said he called it. I think I would have called her safe because I thought it came in behind her.
I thought it was right there, and it was one of those catch tag plays. That's why I was surprised when the umpire called her safe. But as we know, once again, I have had video once again rectify my answer, and that's why I don't live in the world of make believe.
Not conclusive.
Let's give you
No
some,
conclusivity
let's give you some
on that.
scores from around the CCCAA. Cabrillo, bottom of the first inning, leading Santa Barbara 1-0. That's the second game of their contest. Quest over Rio Hondo, we gave it that one 5-6. Casumnas River beating up on Santa Rosa 11-3. Modesto loses to Delta by a score of 12-3. It was Bakersfield dropping one to Santiago Canyon. That's a 3-1 score. Riverside loses to Pasadena 7-4.
Sarah Daly, the pinch hitter now for El Camino. South Torrance Spartan.
College of the Desert trying to improve their chances with a 5-2 win over Glendale today. That game at the Desert.
Takes ball 3 from Flincham, 3-0. Against LA Harbor, which they won 8-3. Daly was 1 for 3. 286 average on the season. And takes 4 straight. So leadoff batter aboard.
Now batting number 7.
And Alyssa Lujan. Lujan's up to bat.
We're going to get a pinch runner also, Corey. So have a pinch runner that's coming in, and it's Marisol De La Torre now in running. We saw her play defensively when we saw El Camino play last time. But for whatever reason, she hasn't played a few games now for El Camino.
So Lujan is 1 for 2, 4-2. Second game of the triple header here at Cypress College. Cypress took the first matchup against Ventura 5-0. El Camino will play Cypress in the third game. Estimated time 3 o'clock.
Estimated, yeah. And that will be on Chargers Live and sportsnetusa.net.
So Flincham in the circle, talking to her battery mate, Ayala, Isabella wearing 23, Albrecht and Guzman on the left side of the infield, Ortega and Guerrero on the right side of the infield. I'm in a Star Wars frame of mind, Mark. I'm sorry. Albertson in right, Howe in center, and Garcia in left field. Saw Guerrero, not Mia Guerrero. Jammed. Ortega, the wind plays havoc with that one, and standing at second base is Marisol De La Torre out of Carson.
And you like what she did as a runner. She went halfway. Now, is she caught either way? If the ball gets caught, maybe, but because it drops, she gets to second, and that's an easy play.
Yeah, and Ortega was there. She was ranging underneath it, and all of a sudden that gust of wind pushed just a couple inches that far. As Flincham is out, as she went the complete game in the first matchup, Mia Guerrero walks over from first to the circle. Her 7th appearance on the season. She's also 1-1 with 2 complete games and a 6.16 earned run average. So El Camino is down 4-2, looking for a chance to catch.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
I was going to say to catch up, and also Flincham now moves to first base. So
And Guerrero's not a strikeout pitcher. I mean, that's the thing where you look at it. She walks about as many as she strikes out. She's given up 19 runs, 17 of them been earned, 31 hits, though, in 19 innings. I think that's the big number you look at for a hitter.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you're going to have to be patient. But again, the number's a little bit deceiving, as Ventura is 3rd in the state in strikeouts. And as a team, they're number 1 in K per 7. But again, Guerrero not a strikeout pitcher.
Yeah, and when you have somebody like Flincham that has a tough day, and even though she's leading this game, she has had a tough day at Cypress. You average almost 10 strikeouts a game. She doesn't have 10 for 2 games. She's probably got maybe 6, which is far below her average. And when you're off as a pitcher, it's like being a basketball player trying to shoot from the outside, and all of a sudden the rim looks like it's only 6 inches big.
This will bring up Malia Martin. Grounded out, singled in her 2 times at bat.
Do you bunt?
No outs? Yes. And Flincham actually moves to second base. First base is Ortega.
Well, I wouldn't bunt in this situation. Let her prove that she can throw strikes first.
Strike number 1 to Martin. And Martin's only home run, guys, was that home run at Cypress that we were talking about earlier. And she swings through a drop ball that just dropped. There was an edge right before the plate, and it went right over. I'm going to call that a 13th century strike. No balls, 2 strikes. That's in the dirt, gets away from Ayala, and advancing is going to be De La Torre and Lujan.
And now when you get that gift from an opposing team, you have to take advantage of it. Infield will come in.
1 and 2. No outs, no runs outside, 2 and 2.
Outfield is shallow. Anything hit in the gap, it's an easy double.
Martin's got 3 triples and 5 doubles so far. Grounds 1 back to Guerrero, looks the runner back at third, over to first to Ortega. So good out pitch by Guerrero. It was a drop ball that started low in the zone, and she induced that ground ball back to the pitcher, Destiny Astorga, who was 0 for 2 but scored a run today. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Pirates with the 2-run lead. And there's crushed in the left field. That's scoring 2 to tie the game at 4. Destiny Astorga with a RBI 2-run, 2 RBI double.
Ed Corey, before the pitch was even made, the outfield stayed in the exact same spot to the previous hitter. These are not the same hitters.
Do you think? Paramount High School product Astorga. I mean, man.
Darn.
And there's another one through the 5-hole. Astorga is at third, and a beautiful base hit by Skylar Sanchez.
Now batting for the Warriors, 0-0, Lisa Carell.
So Peral has 2 singles today. Or excuse me, 2 hits today. 1 single, 1 double.
All you want to do here is make contact, drive the ball someplace. It can be an out. You still take the lead with a sacrifice fly. But don't pop it up or a weak ground out.
Sanchez easily swiped second. So with 1 out, 2 runs across 4 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error. Peral is a switch hitter, goes to the right side now. And the way she hit that double last at bat, bounces 1 to third, right to Albrecht, just like Ed said, don't do, over to Ortega.
You know, let's go back to what Mark was saying at the beginning of the inning. That's one where you stay on the left side and you take that drag bunt, Mark.
Yep.
It's going to score a run. You probably get on first base even. You're certainly going to score a run, though, because they're not going to be able to field it and get it to home plate.
So 3 hits thus far in this inning, and we will have a pinch hitter. And that's going to be Emily Esparza out of Warren High School. Emily's a 5'10" freshman. 2 runs, 3 hits thus far. No errors. The 2 on base is Astorga and Sanchez. In the dirt. Good crab save by Ayala.
And again, you look where the outfield is depth-wise.
Does Esparza have power? No home runs. 8 RBI though. 1 double. And that's low. She's low in the zone trying to get those ground balls.
Yeah, you wonder about that, Mark, because you've got 2 outs. You don't want the ball getting behind you where you have to run backwards to catch it. I mean, you know, be deep and come in, and that's a much easier play. It's 2 outs.
Well, we've seen 3 plays already this game where players have gone back and had difficulty making the catch. Guerrero grooves a strike, 2-1 with 2 outs. And it's low, 3-1.
Nice block behind the plate. 2 saving blocks
And
behind the plate.
Crucial blocks. This is the defense Mark Pavlovich likes to see.
Ayala making sure a team doesn't give up a cheap run.
Stepping back and again line through the 5-hole, station to station. Astorga gives them a 5-4 lead in the home half of the 5th. Yeah, Esparza at first, pinch hitter.
And El Camino has a chance to break this open. They just need a long hit.
Yeah, Astorga gives them the 5-4 lead as she crosses home. Sorry. And Esparza at first base. At third base is Sanchez. So Sanchez in scoring position. Still 2 outs, 3 runs across. 4 hits this inning. And the pinch runner is Padilla. So Esparza pinch hit for Padilla. Padilla comes in and takes back and runs for Esparza. And now Viviana grounded to second and part of a double play. That was in the 4th inning, Mark, and Ayala sets up outside and gets the outside strike, 1-1. 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning. Ventura, 3 big runs, takes the lead at 5-4 on 9 hits. So El Camino with the lead, Mark, 5-4. 2 outs, bottom of the 5th, in the dirt. Ayala, another save. Tamayo out of West Torrance High School. Standing on third base is Sanchez. Padilla at second. Again, they like that spot. That is 3 straight hits to the 5-hole.
Yeah, I mean, Corey, John can just lock the camera down on that one and, keeps going in the same spot.
4 runs on 5 hits. And again, they're not especially hard hits. They're just good solid hits that in the same spot. So that tells you, Mark, that the pitcher is not finding her location.
But again, we talked about the amount of hits that she's given up in 19 innings. So it's not somebody that is a strikeout pitcher that's in the circle, and now they go to their third pitcher in this game.
They have 3, and this is Morgan Albertson making her 9th appearance. She's 4-2 with 32 strikeouts, 13 walks, and a 4.7 ERA. So
Well, definitely in this situation, sorry, Corey, definitely in this situation, you just wait and be patient. Let her prove that she can throw strikes.
So we'll see if they take Ed Ford's advice as Madera is due up. So Mia Guerrero goes back to first base. Ortega goes to second. And in right field now is going to be Flincham. So Flincham in right, Howe in center, Garcia in left. The infield is Albert at third and Guzman at second. Ortega, as we said, Guzman at short, Ortega back at second. Guerrero at first, Ayala stays behind the plate. And Ed, I asked Mark this earlier. With the limited roster of 10, 11 players, does it take a toll on days like this, or will it take a toll, do you think, in the playoffs?
I really think it will eventually, because you just don't, people you can't play at that level day after day after day after day. It's gonna start wearing down. It's gonna wear anybody down. That's why Mark and I were talking about in the first game, where Fullerton College hasn't done like Cypress and mashed in a bunch of makeup games. The Hornets are going to have to play 10 games in a row, and that's going to affect them. They're going to be tired when you get to game 8 and 9 and 10.
Squares. That is not Sandoval. Tagged out for the 3rd inning. And Tamayo was trying to induce a throw. Not a throw, but induce a run home. But again, she was quick enough, as Guzman was quick enough to make the tag. I don't understand that.
I don't either. You could see a look of frustration on Coach Raposa's face. I mean, you ran yourself out of an inning where you can, that's all I can say, drop the roof on them and end the game. You've got a pitcher coming in, their 3rd pitcher that has an ERA of what, 4.7 something?
Yeah, 4.70.
You don't try anything cute. You get up there and let's see if she can throw a strike.
Yeah, and it's funny. Coach Raposa said we need those clutch hits. She got those clutch hits today, or this inning. But that clutch play was not made. She needs to have that continued. And again, that's the reason why they're only 11-10 this season.
Yeah, that's just, to me, it's, wow. That's just, you ran yourself out of an inning.
Yeah.
But you saw for a second that Ventura almost plated it. Corey, it's the 3rd out of the inning. They hesitated going after the 3rd out. If you could extend that run, you might steal that 3rd run at home. Ventura needed to realize, hey, you want to go? We'll get you out before anybody scores.
So 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors. There was 1 left on, but El Camino takes the lead to the top of the 6th inning at 6-4. Guerrero, Howe, and Albertson will be the 3 up for the Pirates. Weird.
Well, I get what they were doing.
I don't. I mean, we get what they were doing, but again, like, I'm going to go with Ed on this one. You run yourself out of that inning, and you had a chance to put up at least a couple more. So, Mark, I will give you this. I like the socks on Ventura. If your team was this fashionable, then maybe they'd look better.
Matching belts, too.
Yeah. 1 ball, no strikes to Guerrero. Flew out both times at bat today. Or I should say in this game at least. This is the second game they played. They lost 5-0 to Cypress earlier. She pops it up in the right center field, and it bloops in for a single. So Mia gets on base, and that'll bring up Maggie Howe, excuse me. Maggie Howe out of Camarillo High School. I had a pun for this, Mark, but I'm not going to say it.
It's dropping.
It does in front of Lujan, and it scoots past Lujan. But runner Guerrero stays at second on the second hit in a row. Howe reaches base safely for the first time this game, or second time this game. She's 2 for 3. And this will bring up Albertson. So Morgan Albertson now is going to be pinch hit for Alexis Carrillo, 5'4" freshman from Santa Paula High School.
And that is Ventura's reserves. I think that's the thing that's really important to say here, Corey. That's Ventura's reserves. If they're going to pinch hit, they had one player to go to. And this is the only player they can go to because that's the only person sitting on the bench. No.
One is gone. Gallegos is not playing? Okay.
Yeah, one player.
And that's big because Isabel Gallegos, she's one of their better hitters in that lineup. I mean, she's got 28 hits out of the lineup, and you can only go to one as we have a new pitcher in the ball game, and that's going to be Destiny Astorga.
No more late nights for you, my friend.
I am still thinking pinch hitter. I'm going to create a new term in this circle.
I was thinking
hitter. The pinch pitcher. Yes.
The pinch pitcher.
I am a penny pincher.
Well, some things are obvious.
No outs here in the top of the 6th inning. Ventura threatening with runners at first and second. Guerrero at second. Howe at first. And the pinch hitter will be Alexis Carrillo. Astorga on the season, Mark.
Now batting number 5, Alexis Carrillo.
Her 10th appearance. 1-2 in the win-loss column. 15 1/3 innings pitched thus far with a 3.65 earned run average.
And Corey, I think this game is huge for El Camino before they play Cypress. They have to have the right attitude. And if they can beat Ventura, they will feel like they're on a roll to sweep a doubleheader.
Bunt fouled back. And again, it's crucial again because it allows them to get 2 games above 500, gives them some type of momentum towards the end of the season, getting back in the South Coast Conference play. And Ventura, this may be one of those Saturdays where you're thinking, we were just a little bit too tired today.
Yeah.
Carrillo pulls back. So it's 1-1 is the count.
But it's not since it's not a conference game, you don't want to lose because of RBI and your overall record, but it's not like you get swept in a conference matchup.
Lays it down. Oh, beautiful spinning. Drop dead gorgeous bunt by Carrillo. She sacrifices the runners over to second and third. So runners in scoring position bring up the leadoff hitter, Siana Garcia. Garcia, also a Cardinal from Santa Paula. .276 hitter. With only one out, Mark would like to see a suicide squeeze. Well, with 2 on the pond.
Or
in
a
scoring
safety
position.
squeeze.
First pitch fouled out of play. She went down to one knee and came up. That looked like the first tee shot on the first hole over at your local golf course trying to get warmed up. 6-4 your score. And again, chops down. So she's chopping down on the rise pitches from Astorga, and they're popping them up. Good spin by Astorga in the circle.
You can only get so high in your tippy toes as we get time out for a little discussion in the circle.
Well, 2 quick strikes, an advantage for El Camino. Get a strikeout here or a pop-up to the infield, and then it's 2 outs, and then you don't have that runner can score on an out unless they cross the plate before,
Yeah.
as we've seen a couple times today.
So new catcher, it looks like the new catcher for El Camino is Juliana Vasquez. I can't tell if that's an 8 or 9, if that's Madera or Vasquez. But Astorga is in the circle with an 0-2 count way outside. I don't even think they were trying to get her to chase. That's what you call a waste pitch by definition.
Yeah. Let her to think about the outside, then come back in and jam her so she hits that little roller.
Outside part of the plate connected. Diving is Peral. She can't gather it. It's going to score 2. Guerrero touches down. And Hal touches down on an RBI double from Garcia. We are tied at 6, gentlemen.
Batting for Ventura, number 22, Alyssa Guzman.
And what did Coach Raposa-Mark say during that Cerritos game towards the end? You gotta lay out.
Yep.
And that didn't happen there.
So Peral half laid out, gets by. It is tied at 6. And that is high to Guzman. Guzman 1 for 3 in this game. .316 is her average coming into today. That's Garcia standing at second base. With only 1 stolen base, not really a threat to steal. Guzman with 2 home runs, 10 RBI. They only walked 3 times this season. And that's high, good eye, 3-0. Now with only 1 out, are you being aggressive? Do you have that rhythm to be aggressive here?
Yeah, I do. I let her swing.
So behind the plate is Juliana Vasquez for the Warriors. And she takes strike 1, 3-1. Still only 1 out. That was there.
Yeah, it was.
3 hits, 2 runs, or excuse me, 4 runs this inning. No, excuse me, 2 runs this inning. 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. So they're looking for their perfect pitch. She gets it on the outside, and that's her perfect pitch as it drops in. Garcia to third, runners at the corners with Garcia and Guzman. And this will bring up the all-everything, do-everything, who even though she had an RBI triple, Albrant is relatively quiet today.
She has. She hasn't been as sound with the glove as I thought she would be over at third base. A little indecisive. She's had balls go over the gloves that she could have easily gotten.
6-6. That is high. Throw down to third. 1 out. Top of the 6th inning. 2 runs already across. 3 hits this inning. 6 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. For Ventura, 6 runs, 10 hits, 1 error. For El Camino. Bounce back. Astorga looks back the runner over to first. And making the grab is Sanchez with 2 outs.
And you heard the infield yell,
Now batting for the Pirates,
go
number 6,
for
John
2
Ortega.
when the ball comes back to the circle. And Corey, I know that's the right thing that most people like to do, but if you're not into that, you will take the sure play that you know you won't make an error on. So I know people would look and say, hey, it got hit right back to her. They had the runner at second base, but she had made up her mind as soon as she got the ball. I'm going to look the runner back at third, and I'm going to first. She made the right play in the circle. Even if a run scores, it still was the right play at the time.
And there it is one more time and gets out of the jam. On consecutive 1-3 putouts.
Ladies and gentlemen,
But not before. 2 runs, 3 hits.
hot dogs and hamburgers for $1.
With no errors and 2 left on base.
On the first base side,
At the end of 5.5, it is 6 apiece. Community College softball on SportsNetUSA.net. Corey, Mark, Ed, and John here at the table. Gabby chilling out in the coach's office.
Could be sleeping in the coach's office.
That would be a bad thing, because then I'd have to go pick her up if she falls asleep.
I don't think there's anybody in the coach's office. They all out that way.
Oh my goodness. As Albertson steps to the circle for the Pirates with renewed vigor, as it's a 6-6 ball game. And here in the bottom, in between the 6th.
Now I know why Brad Pickler asked me for gaffer's tape. Gabby's going to think she's walking as he taped her up on the wall.
Checking out some scores for you. Bottom of the 1st inning, Rio Hondo up 2-zip over Cuesta, that game in Cuesta. Delta and Modesto, the second of their doubleheader. They're all tied up at 1 apiece. Santiago is electrified. They are leading Bakersfield 2-1 in the top of the 3rd. That's the 2nd game. Santiago will take the 1st game of the doubleheader by a score of 3-1. Bottom of the 3rd game in the bottom of the 3rd in the 2nd game between Santa Rosa and Cosumnes River. Cosumnes River shutting out Santa Rosa by a score of 3-0. Butte ahead of Shasta by a score of 2-0. Butte having a fine season too. Bottom of the 2nd inning, Santa Barbara 5, Cabrillo 1.
Foul ball to the right side is Vasquez, who's catching. Has an 0-1 count against her. And I know we talk a lot about Santiago off the air, but the score representation for Santiago is bigger than anything. If they only allow 1 or 2 runs, that may give them some type of confidence, because the pitching in the circle for them has just not been there this season.
No, it has not. And I'm not going to say this is a surprise score. Gee, I lost the score now. Where am I going?
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Oh, here it is. The defending state champions got blanked today by West Valley at the Palace by a score of 7-0.
The Palace at West Valley fouled off again, 1-2 to Vasquez. Albertson in the circle. Ayala is behind the plate. Guerrero and Ortega on the right side. On the left side is Albrant and Guzman. Five-hole. Great piece of hitting by Vasquez there. She was late, fouled right. gets one on the outside part of the plate and pulls it left.
Yeah. I mean, she waited on it, and then finally could drive it.
Pinch hitting is going to be Haley Torres, 5'6" sophomore from Compton, Warren High School. Will be doing the hitting, and the running will be Madeline Radecki. Radecki out of Redondo Union High School, the former Seahawk. That's Sea-Hawk, 2 words. Has 8 stolen bases on the season.
If it was one word, would it be chalk? Oh, that kind of C. I get it. Okay. A little slow. Warren High School. Are they the Bears?
Warren Bears,
The
yeah.
Warren Bears. I remember a long time ago in our sports broadcasting, way back before video, Randy Routier and Rich Estrella insulted Warren High School once, and it turned into a season-long thing on football. It was funny.
A defensive bunt as it was coming right at her. Fouls to the left side. Call that the splicing error.
Yes.
Well, I want to call a team the Chalks. I mean, just things, in their blue, red, yellow, and green uniforms. Colorful chalk.
Sounds like a bowl of Fruit Loops, Mark. Another one in. He said, Coach, I got something for you.
You're good. I have a bruise on my thigh, but you're good.
No, she is good. Coach is not good.
Oh, I don't know. She's pretty tough.
She is tough. Two-time All-American at Point Loma. In the Point Loma Hall of Fame. Foul.
There was something about Point Loma. I mean, look at the people who came out of there. Janelle from
Cuesta. Janelle
Cuesta.
Godin,
She went there. Lisa Camargo went to Point Loma. Scott Raposo went to Point Loma. I mean, they had that field that it looked over into the ocean.
Always wanted to call a game there. Never got the chance.
I think Mark called a game from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. I remember that because I was doing another game.
You get mesmerized calling the game there. You just sort of stare out at the ocean. Oh, there's something going on here.
Popped high in the air. Underneath is Howe in center, and that'll be the first out. So back to the top of the lineup where Lujan has scored twice, 2 singles and a pop out. 2 for 3 and 2 runs. Lujan leads the team in average at 449, on base 479, and slugging at 580. 3 triples, no home runs, sliding safely into second base is Madeline Radecki. Puts a runner in scoring position for Lujan. See at the bottom of the 6th inning.
And Ayala figured she had the runner, Corey. She came up ready to throw and lost the ball in her hand.
Could be big. Bouncer high above Morganson, or Albertson, excuse me. And there goes Lujan to third. Almost an overthrow, no. Lujan runs back to first base, and they call time as Guzman hands it to Albertson.
Yeah, let's not run ourselves out of anything here. Stay on the base. Let the next batter take care of business.
And Lujan with an old school single. Chops down. Even if it had have been caught by the shortstop on the first bounce, Lujan would have been safe at first. Squares the bunt. There goes Lujan.
And you let her go. You know you're not going to be able to get her.
So runners at second and third with 1 out with Malia Martin. She has one single today. But again, with her power. Line to Albrecht. L5 for the second out. Astorga had an two RBI double her last at bat.
Now batting for
Part of that
Camino
4-run fifth inning.
Astorga.
So Astorga now can unbreak the tie. It's tied across the scoreboard, Mark. 6 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. Pop straight back. Two hits this inning. Thus far, Lujan at second. Radicke at third. Astorga bounces one. Guzman underneath the glove, and here comes Lujan trying to score from second. And she does. That was cut off at the last minute on an RBI single from Astorga. She advances to second on the throw home.
And so what Guzman does at short is she backs up Corey, thinking she's going to get a hop. As she sticks her glove down, she thinks the ball's going to come up. She stays up. The ball does not.
Exactly.
So she let the ball play her. She did not play the ball, and you get a single on the play.
And it is a single, 8-6. They retake the lead and line to second to Ortega. But not before, as the old cliche goes, the damage is done. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 1 left on. At the end of 6 innings, it is 8-6 El Camino. This is Community College Softball on SportsNetUSA.net.
Ed, I just want to get this in because I just want to see if you and Corey have a take on this. Softball season's
Yes.
way in swing. Any teams that you look at and you would say right now, boy, if I was a fan, I'm really disappointed in these teams?
Why do I have to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. I'm not going to say disappointed, but expected more from Cerritos.
Okay, I agree with you on that one.
And really did expect more from Cerritos this year. I talked to Mark all preseason that I thought that was going to be the team that really went out and was just going to be a juggernaut.
I think if they would have had their fall ball, off-season team, yes. But a lot of the big players that they were going to bring in, it didn't materialize because basically Cerritos has the exact same lineup for the most part as last year. I mean, before the season started, Diaz wasn't going to be the shortstop probably. That didn't happen. They were going to have a different second base person. They were going to have another pitcher. They had a bounce-back player. None of that all evaporated. I would have said the same thing that you said, Corey, at the beginning of the season, but now I think Cody's doing some stuff, and they're starting to claw their way back. They're having Manny Guillen pitch now. She won a game a couple of games ago. So, I mean, Cody's going with everybody who can pitch right now because, Eastless is still not doing it, not what she did last year. Other than that, I would maybe say a lot of the teams in the OEC besides Fullerton and Cypress.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, I would have expected Santiago to be better, and
I also thought Folsom Lake was going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, they started well, but they've slumped off.
Swing and a miss on the first pitch, dealing to Ayala is Astorga. So Astorga's really taken over the ball game. 4 RBIs in her last 2 plate appearances gives them the lead, a tie and the lead at 8-6, and now she's in the circle. And a big surprise, Mark, and there's a ground ball, and that's trickling foul. It's going to still be Monterey Peninsula.
Yeah, well, they're a good team.
Yeah, they're a good team, but again, go ahead, Ed.
I was going to say, but you mentioned Folsom Lake, 3-7 in conference, 9-16 overall, but in RPI they are 13th. They would make the playoffs.
Wow. Monterey Peninsula is still a surprise because they haven't faltered. Flair's gonna be trouble. No trouble at all, says Lujan.
But the thing with Monterey Peninsula is they've done well the last 4 to 5 seasons, but when they get in the playoffs, they have trouble getting out of the regional even. They've been upset in the regional quite a few times. So, you know, a team with a lot of promise. Coach Berg does a good job there, but they can't get over the hump.
Astorga delivers first pitch strike. And Flincham doubled, then grounded, flew out, then grounded out. 1 for 3 in this second frame. Ground ball, Astorga. Kind of bare hands.
And you know what, guys? I'm going to throw it out there because even though she's a friend of ours, I'm disappointed in Long Beach City College. They got their new field. They had some players that came back. I thought she was going to recruit better. They're just sitting in there in mediocrity where they were last year.
And you know, they're 10-3 in conference, though 17-8 overall. I can see where you can see that disappointment, but and there's a ground ball scoop. Leba makes an error on the first at bat of the game, goes through her leg. She makes the last out of this ball game on a 5-3 put out. So Ventura drops both games here in Cypress. The final score will be El Camino 8 and Ventura 6. Ventura 6 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. El Camino, who will play Cypress coming up, 8 runs, 13 hits, and 1 error. This has been Community College Softball on SportsNetUSA.net.